What's up, guys? I'm going to show you how to put a 250 amp alternator into your OBS Ford. Mine shit the bed after only, I think it was like 5 years or less. So I got this 250 amp unit from Tucson Alternators, pure power. Looks pretty sweet. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go on over here. I already have the old alternator out. And we are going to disconnect both our plugs. We're going to have this plug here. I want to say it's 2 wires. 3 wires. Obviously, to get your alternator out, loosen this bolt here. Take your belt off. This other bolt comes out. Super easy. So disconnect this plug. And then you're going to have a plug that looks like this. These 3 wires, snip that off. Let's see here. The 2 big wires are going to get combined together, and then the small wire that is black and white, that one is no longer used. So that's going to be our first step. So we're going to go ahead and get those together. Okay, one thing with the alternator upgrade, we're just going to make a couple wiring modifications. I'm going to do a big 3 wiring kit, which really was not expensive. I got a 1/0 gauge kit from Sky Car Audio, and it was like $40. And it's cut to fit. It's kind of like a universal kit. So what I'm on about right here is you can look at the instructions on the Pure Power website, but basically we're going to strip and combine these 2 wires here, these big guys, and then this one here. You can see the factory wiring color is black and white, white with a black stripe, I mean. That's no longer used, so tie it up, do whatever. But when we're upgrading our alternator, we are leaving all our factory wiring in place. Aside from the mods we're making, we're leaving our factory grounds, leaving our factory wires, and we're just overlaying the big 3 stuff on top of that. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, guys, so those 2 wires I was talking about, they're gonna get combined into this lug right here. And this is what I got off Amazon. It's like $10 for a whole big thing of these. 5/16 hole, it's for 4 gauge wire. So take one of these, combine both of those 2 wires, and then that's gonna sit right here on this lug. And you're gonna wanna get yourself a hammer crimper. Let's see if I can find mine. Well, I don't know where it is, but grab the hammer crimper and hammer it in. Shouldn't be too bad. All right, I did not find my hammer crimper, but I made a trip to Harbor Freight and I picked up this bad boy. Hydraulic wire crimping tool. So we're gonna see how this works. All right, so we got these guys crimped. They're 10 gauge. I just went ahead and stuck my lug on here. I made a mark and then I just crimped it right there. So we're gonna attempt to hydraulic crimp those. Got my 4 gauge dies in there. All right, just had to pump it up a little bit. Got my lug in there. Gonna combine these 2 together. And we are gonna go ahead and crimp it. Alright, I had to switch lugs because that one wasn't working out, but we're going to go ahead and try a different type of lug. Alright, full force of the hydraulic crimper on there. I probably overdid it a little bit, but there we go. So that was a little bit smaller 4-gauge lug. Don't forget your heat shrink. Do red because this one's going to be the positive post on the alternator. So we'll go ahead and seal that up and move on to the next thing. All right, so at this point, guys, we're going to throw the new alternator in the stock location. When you order these things, they're going to give you a couple different options. I want to say there's a 175 amp, there was a 250 amp, and the difference was only like, it was literally like $50 for the 250 amp. And I'm like, hey, why not have more power if you need it, right? Maybe you're running crazy car audio system. Maybe you're running some old school halogen lights that draw a lot. I mean, the stock headlights already draw a lot. You know, the factory alternator is a 2G. It's weak to begin with. So whatever your reasoning, you know, it could be a good idea if you're running a lot of stuff to have some more power. And I was kind of concerned this was going to mess with like stock electronics and stuff, or, you know, it was going to be like hard for the belt to turn it and I was going to lose miles per gallon or whatever. I've heard stuff like that online. And I called him and the guy was super helpful. And he pretty much said, you're not going to see any noticeable difference in miles per gallon. So fingers crossed on that one. And then, yeah, make sure you order I don't know where I was going with that, but make sure you order the 6-groove pulley for the Ford. They did say something about the pulley being smaller, but it really looks the same size as stock. And not only that, but you have so much room to adjust right here. You can get your belt nice and tight. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and throw this thing in here. So we really only had to modify that one plug. This one's gonna plug into this factory guy right there, hopefully. And yep, looks like it's gonna match up. It's kind of looks like a D, but inside it looks kind of like an oval, so looks good. And once I get this mounted up, we'll go ahead and do our big 3 wiring kit, and I'll walk you guys through that too. I remembered what I was gonna say. So you're not gonna overload your stock electronics with this. That's one thing I asked them about on the phone, because this alternator is only gonna use what it needs. So if it needs 250 amps, it'll pull 250 amps. If it only needs, 60, 70, whatever, it's only gonna pull that much. So I don't know if any of you guys were wondering about that, but just to clear that up. All right, ran into a very small snafu, not a big deal, but I had to loosen this bracket right here to get this bolt in, your tension bolt. And if you need to do that, there's 2 1/2 bolts right there. So just use a 1/2 inch deep socket, loosen that up, get your tension bolt in, tighten them back up. All right, so go ahead and once this is all tight, your bolt's in there, swings, moves freely, go ahead and throw your belt back on. Make sure it's seated right here around the water pump, pulley, go down beneath, double check. Okay, boom, seated right there. It's in its home, it's where it's supposed to be, and then we're just gonna put a little bit of tension on it and tighten this guy up. That's a 9/16. All right, if you've never done this before, you're gonna wanna just take your pry bar, stick it in there to get your tension. Pull up on your pry bar, get it nice and tight. And I don't know the exact belt deflection, but I just got it pretty dang tight, and I try to match the same deflection that it was over here. So now that we've got that all snugged up, we're gonna move on to the next step. Okay, so first wires we're gonna hook up is gonna be the ones we merged earlier are gonna go right on this positive post here. And then the other one, it just plugs into that plug right there. And I'm probably gonna just zip tie it out of the way right up here on this engine pull bracket. All right, so as you can see here, this is the Sky High car audio kit that I got, and this is the part number that it was. It's just their big 3 universal kit. So yeah, it's just 3 wires. That's why it's called Big 3. These freaking lugs are insane, dude. Another thing I got was kind of cool Blaze off-road battery terminals. So I'll be throwing these guys on too. They're all billet, and you just slide it on your battery. And then you have lots of neat attachment points for big lugs and everything. So I'm going to be turning the stock battery cables, crimping those and making it so I can just attach right here. Alright, so if you guys go with these Blaze off-road terminals, stick them on here, loosen your tightening bolt up, and just give them some light taps with a dead blow hammer. Just make sure they seat down on there before you tighten them, and then you're going to be mint. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and attach. I'm going to cut, crimp new lugs, heat shrink all that, make it look pretty, and I'm going to go ahead and attach my stock battery connections to these terminals. All right, here we are. It is 9 o'clock at night, and I finally got this done. All the cables are cut, all the connections are made, big 3 wiring upgrades done, alternators in, belts on, ready to fire up. I've not fired it up yet, but I'll just give you kind of a once over. So here's the alternator. It fit really good in the stock location. This plug here, it literally just plugs right in. No alterations needed on that one. And then that guy there, the top lug is the one where I combine those 2 wires. Bottom is going straight from the positive on the alternator to the positive on the battery with a Stinger 300 amp breaker box fuse in line there. As far as the big 3 wiring, really this one's super easy. Obviously, you know, you maybe don't need to throw a fuse in, maybe you do. The manufacturer of the alternator didn't say anything about a fuse, but everything I've been reading online, people say it's a good idea. But yeah, these next 2, one of them is going to the frame, and I just utilized the stock location, which you can see right down there. So if you use the Sky High kit for the wiring like I did, these lugs are huge. That one literally barely fits there, so make sure you do it on the bottom. Clean the grounds up really good, wire brush, sand them, get them super clean. I even sprayed a little coat of this battery terminal protection on afterwards. And the other one just goes, here, I'll show you guys underneath. The other ground is that guy there. So it already had 2 connections on it. I cleaned those up. I threw on the big 1/0, big 3 connection, and then that goes straight to the negative post on the battery. And then I sprayed some grease on there as well. Blew out that hole where the stud goes. Made sure it was all nice and clean. And yeah, pretty stoked on it. So just to recap, the wires goes positive post to positive post with an optional fuse in line. The negatives go, one goes from your negative terminal to the chassis ground, right down there on the frame. Other one goes to the engine block. Or the instruction said, optionally, you could add it right here at the alternator mounting bolt, if you so choose. Maybe right there or right there. Word on powder coating these alternators. If you guys want to get all fancy and powder coat them, I actually thought about it. They actually recommended you don't, because you can have grounding issues, and people have had grounding issues in the past and the case gets really hot. So save yourself $50 and don't worry about powder coating it. But yeah, now we should have plenty of power if I want to run a winch, big car audio system, big lights, you name it, whatever. So I'll fire it up and I'll give you guys an update. Peace. Started it and the battery is looking beautiful. Beautiful. here I am again. I had an issue where the belt was not tight enough and I was slipping, and I also forgot to tighten the pivot bolt all the way, which I think keeps it in line, so that's important. Make sure you don't forget that. Luckily I think I caught it in time and everything's fine, but here I am throwing everything I can at it. We got AC on high, got my amp turned up all the way. We're gonna play some music. We're gonna turn on the headlights. We are gonna turn on my aftermarket fog lights. And we're also gonna engage the window motors. Oh, I didn't like that. Alright, so I think I figured out what's going on here. I think I did not have the belt tight enough. See how this got kind of hot from it slipping, I think, just from the friction. But I did not have the belt tight enough. It was slipping under super high load, so when I was like running every single thing in the truck, it would start slipping. But other than that, it was good. So I cranked on this thing and tightened it literally as much as I can. I ordered a new heavy duty belt, like one of the green Gates belts. And just from looking on like Steve Me Designs forums, it seems like this is pretty common with high load, high amp alternator applications. So we will throw the new belt on there and rock this one super tight for now and see how she goes. All right, so after tightening the belt, taking it for a drive, super happy with it. Battery was just chilling right there, pretty much no matter what I would do. I think I was just kind of overloading it a little bit too much at idle. I didn't, I had maybe 1,000 RPMs and I'm like energizing every single electronic thing I have. And it's causing a lot of resistance, which is causing the pulley to be harder to spin, and then the belt would slip. So seems good now, but I think a heavy duty belt's a good idea, so give that a rip and stay tuned.